Hello, my name is Fred Trotter, and I am a healthcare data journalist, and we are working to get perhaps not real-time streaming going. Actually, this video is a good example of this, but we're going to be releasing this video that we're making beforehand on the day of Datapalooza. And one of the things we wanted to do was ask some of the speakers if they'd be willing to get in a room with us before the conference so that we would have the videos in the can, which I've never used that term before, so I feel really, video-y when I say in the can. But we're trying to get it in the can. And Andrea and Remy, who are both, I'll let them introduce themselves, but they work for CMS in an incredibly innovative department. And they're coming to Datapalooza. And at Datapalooza, I think we're going to try to do real-time streaming, but it might be close to real-time. And this video will be a prime example of some content that is not actually real-time, but I think is absolutely within the spirit of Datapalooza. Andrea, if you don't mind going first, would you introduce yourselves, and then we'll get to the first question.
Yeah, so my name is Andrea Fletcher. I'm the Chief Digital Strategy Officer at the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services, CMS. I lead the digital service team. I wear kind of two hats. One is recruiting an awesome team of tech talent into CMS. So we have software engineers and product managers and designers, and we kind of run at the gnarly problems that the agency faces. So we have people who are working on modernizing the Medicare payment systems or building new data collection forms for the public. And Remy is with me here today because he's our open source lead. He's the first open source lead in the federal government. And he's been standing up together. We've been standing up the first open source program office, or OSPO, in the federal government. And it's pretty exciting. So Remy, you want to intro yourself a little bit?
Sure. My name is Remy DeCausemaker, pronouns he, him. I'm the open source lead here at the digital service at CMS. I've been here about 2 years now, and to build out our OSPO, or open source program office, we partner with programs like the United States Digital Service, the United States Digital Core, and Coding It Forward, Code in the Schools. There are a lot of Urban Alliance. There are multiple early career talent programs that serve as the baseline where we are helping to bring that next generation of civic hackers into public service. And it is a great opportunity to be here. Thanks for having us.
So we've talked a lot, and let me just plug the thing that Remy was just saying. If you know how to use Git and you think working at CMS might be fun, you should talk to Remy, because that's the kind of work that I hear him talk about. He's done some amazing things in that. Andrea, what brings you to healthcare Datapalooza?
I love Health Datapalooza. It's my favorite nerd fest. It's where I find my people. It's like the intersection of, healthcare data and policy. So I just like the people that are there, and I think it's an awesome couple of days of really having discussions about not just what cool shiny products are out there or tools, but how do we fundamentally change the way that we're, collecting health information in America and sharing it, and what do we need policy wise and governance wise. So one, I just like the event. But two, we have a couple of big announcements that we're making. Last week we released a request for information, an RFI, on artificial intelligence demo days. So part of what we try to do as the digital service team is help CMS understand technology better. And not everyone who works in the federal government can go to conferences all day. They have other jobs and other things that they need to do, like regulate healthcare in the country, and run Medicare. And so we are asking organizations in health tech, organizations who have cool products that might be interesting for us, hackers who are just building neat things, that think that CMS might benefit from having these. We're one of the largest health insurance programs in the world. So we buy technology all the time. We buy off-the-shelf software. And so we are launching a demo days. And the fairest and easiest way to make sure we get lots of people coming in the door is to put out a request for information and ask people to submit a little slide deck for us on what they want to tell us. It reminds me, I don't know if you've ever heard of like the cheese wheel at the White House, where they had like the big cheese wheel and everybody came in and like ate the cheese. It's like a DC lore, DC legend. That's what it kind of feels like to me, is like, come on, eat the cheese, everybody together. We're going to like talk about AI and show us your cool stuff. And so we're pretty excited about that. We're looking for lots of submissions. I posted it on LinkedIn. It's also on our website. And really, you can just, email demodays@cms.gov if you have questions, cms.hhs.gov. So we're pretty excited about that. And we're also going to be talking about the open source program office and the vulnerability disclosure program that we've recently launched with CISA, the cybersecurity agency over at Department of Homeland Security. We've been working with them on, as we're rolling out all of this open source work, one thing people always ask is, well, that can't be secure, that can't be safe, and so we've really added a lot of robust cybersecurity around that, including things like vulnerability disclosure programs, a vulnerability disclosure program. So if people find bugs, they can tell us about it and we can fix it quickly, and having response teams in place to fix things. I'll let Remy chat a little bit more about that. He's been leading that work, and I think it helps everyone feel a little bit government feds like to feel a little less risky, and this is like a great way for us to de-risk being an open source forward agency is by having great cybersecurity practices in place.
So Remy, when we talk, remind me to talk about that time that I brought a vulnerability to the VA and they threatened to put me in jail for it. So, I mean, this is a very, very important issue for me. I've had the bad old days were bad. And
safe harbor provisions are one of the most important parts. Safe harbor provisions are one of the most important parts of a responsible disclosure policy, and that is front and center.
Music to my ears. And in fact, that's the theme of all the things that Andrea, you were saying, is the old world plus the new world. The idea of talking about two acronyms that you don't hear very often is government RFI, right, mm-hmm. and AI, right? Those two things are like two different generational contexts. But I feel like I need an RFI for AI. I wish people would come and tell me all the things that are happening. I mean, just this week, OpenAI got updated again. I'm not even going to date this video by saying what the update was because, it happens every week. Right? It just changes so much. How does CMS wrestle with that?
Yeah, I mean, well, one, I think that technology, it's new technology, right? But there's new technology and emerging technology all the time, and we have processes for dealing with that, right? So some of the same rules still apply. You can't, we can't be putting government information in public domains that we couldn't before, right? We can't be sharing information that we can't, data that we can't. Privacy laws still are in place and protect people's information. I think, with the demo days, what we've been really looking forward to is the technology is changing so quickly. So how do we as an agency stay on top of it? How do we try to not fall behind? And so we're going to do these regularly. We're going to have them at least quarterly in the beginning. But what does it look like for us to constantly be asking what else is out there? And what don't we know about? Because the technology is moving really, really fast. This is the fastest I've ever seen technology change. It's way different than it was 18 months ago. And it's our job. Part of what we need to do as an agency is know what's going on there and know how to regulate it, know how to use it, know what good looks like is what I keep saying. Like, what does good look like with some of these tools, and what does a bad AI tool look like? Because I've seen some real bad AI tools, and how do we help the public understand these tools better? How do we help providers who are often the target audience or the users understand these tools better? If we don't understand them and we haven't seen them, it's very hard for us to make recommendations for other people. That's kind of the point of this is let's take a learning mindset and a growth mindset and an open door mindset to how we think about AI.
So and let me say, Andrea and I have talked about this program before. So if it seems like I know too much about it, it's only because I do. I am tweeting sections of your proposal out about how excited I am about the different sections. One of the things, Andrea, you told me is how keen you are to have health IT companies you have not heard of or that CMS has not already heard from, and to get kind of a variety of perspectives. And let me lobby. I'd be happy to help in any way I can. I think the the suggestion I have is that you have a phase or some part of a way in the process to have people come in and show just what normal AI does out of the box that's relevant to the CMS billing process. Because I continue to listen on Twitter to see how physicians are using it in many cases for their prior auth process or something else that is super, super relevant to the people at CMS. And it's just out of the box ChatGPT, which is surprisingly good. How do you wrestle with the delta, just in general? Please take my suggestion in any way you like. But how do you wrestle in general with the fact that in many cases people are saying, "Oh, we're an AI company. We have this amazing thing," and if you look under the hood, it's just ChatGPT with different CSS.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of like knowing what good is. I do a stand-up, I call it my stand-up routine around CMS right now on what is AI, in which we might or might not have an AI theme song that I created for CMS. And, like I had ChatGPT write my bio and it says that I started the Center for AI at CMS, and that doesn't exist, right? Like there is no Center for AI. And so I think part of it
would be you.
it would be me. No, it would not be me. I would not. I wouldn't do that to myself.
I need to understand how government works.
Yeah.
Government works.
Yeah. And so part of it is just like, what are these tools? Like there's so many new things out there, right? Like you can now generate images and videos and songs and tech, like there's a lot of different things, and understanding the language and what we mean when we say, large language model or machine learning, right? Like those are totally different things. But they're all under the umbrella of, artificial intelligence now, right? So really, really having conversations about the different terminology. But I think part of it is also encouraging our staff to just play around with these tools. And that's what we've been trying to do right now is, as government officials, we don't always have access to the latest and greatest technology. So how do we give people safe sandboxes to play in? How do we encourage them to try some things out in their day-to-day work to see, so that way they understand, oh, ChatGPT isn't gonna, give me a bio that knows where I went to college, because it doesn't know where I went to college, even though that's on the internet, right? So it's understanding the limitations, but also understanding the power.
So my next question is, what data sets are you interested in? What data set you care about? I almost feel like Datapalooza could become, Datapalooza. AI is cool, but garbage in, garbage out. And so I think that in some senses, data becomes an anchoring process. Given that, what kind of data stuff are you excited about coming into Healthcare Datapalooza? Like data sets, anything else?
I like what I've been interested in personally lately is synthetic data and synthetic data sets. I think that's a really fascinating conversation that we have to have as a community, as a healthcare community. What does it, and there's huge power in this, right? Super rare diseases where we don't have a lot of we don't have a lot of real data, right? Data truth. Synthetic data sets could be incredibly helpful for researchers, right? There are incredible use cases for this, but I don't think we've really fully explored that or had a conversation about what does it mean for us to be using synthetic data or generated data that's not real. But so that's like where I've been nerding out personally lately, having a lot of other conversations with different parts of the government who are also thinking down this path. I was talking with the Department of Homeland Security team yesterday, and we were talking about how there's actually not a lot of data on like people coming through with like bombs or guns on them for TSA. So how do you train your devices on true data when like that's actually a pretty rare event for that to happen? And so like that's a place where synthetic data or artificial data could be really, really helpful in training your devices and training your other artificial intelligence models. And I think about that in the healthcare context too, of like, this could be super powerful for us. But then how do you regulate something like that, right? A model has been trained on synthetic data, and what does that actually mean to a patient? And what does that mean for our healthcare system if we're training things on not real people, right? And so that's where I get really nerdy lately. But that's not really my focus most days. But we should talk about open source too, because I think I would say that one thing that I would hope that we have a conversation about Health Datapalooza this year is how do we open more data? Like, how do we share our data better? We have, data standards for FHIR and things like that. But I think open data is a conversation that we also need to have as a healthcare community of like, what does it mean to be sharing data rather than blocking sharing of data, and what does that mean whenever we're able to actually do those things?
Remy, do you want to react to that last thing?
Yeah, sharing is one of the best ways that we can find out what's out there. It's one of the best ways that we can check each other and engage in the kind of science and exploration that really helps us understand where that baseline of truth that Andrea is talking about is. Like, my biggest that's the thing I'm actually most excited about with AI, especially, is the source code, the models, the weights, right, the training data. It's one thing to say you have AI, but if we can't look at the code underneath it and the data it's trained on and the model weights, etc., like, okay, I'm just taking your word for it. It's important, not just from a can I run this or can I buy this, but can I confirm that this is the baseline truth that's there? So folks who can really share what they have openly and do it in the open and prove that their models are doing what they say, and these are where we're getting our data sets from, those are the kinds of places I'm most excited to work with.
So we will, Remy, that's where we'll start. Andrea, I know you need to go. So first of all, thank you so much for being on and talking. Is there anything else you want to say as you got one foot out the door and you've got to move to your next?
Yeah, I have to run. But if you're thinking about submitting a demo, just do it. Like, we're not asking, you don't need to have anything super flashy and shiny for us. We just want to see what you've got. So, even if it's really early on.
You want people to send you videos or PowerPoints or
RFI. PowerPoints are great. Videos, we'll take whatever you've got. We're going to have people come demo in person if they'd like to come to our office, or virtually. It's going to be hybrid. So we're really, it's okay if it's not the most polished product that's ready to go. We're looking for the new stuff coming down the pipeline that would be super interesting too. So submit your demo.
All right. Great place to leave. Andrea, thank you so much.
All right. Finish up with Remy. Bye, everyone. See you at Health Datapalooza.